Hello and welcome. It's Anna here from Spiritual Being. I am a paranormal clearing specialist, a house healer, and I love educating people about all things spiritual and psychic. Today we're going to be talking about dark energy beings and energetic cording. So we're going to look at why they use cording, some of the signs and symptoms that you can be aware of when you have been corded to by a paranormal being, and how to disconnect the cord. So if you like what I talk about today, please feel free to leave me a like, leave me a comment, hit the subscribe button. I will be talking about dark energy beings every fortnight from now until kingdom come. As long as I am living, I will be talking and educating people about my experiences working with the paranormal on a daily basis. So let's get into it. Dark energy beings and why they use energy cording. So generally what we call psychic cords or energy cords are a connection between two people or people and their pets. Someone that you are emotionally connected to, family, friends. You're going to have a cord connection to that person. Dark energy beings have cottoned on to this idea, and it gives them a way of feeding off people's mental and emotional states and manipulating them from a distance. So as an energy clearer, a paranormal clearing specialist, I have devised certain ways of clearing these particular cords and certain ways of detecting that they are there, mostly through my own long-term personal experiences. So these beings love to cord into us because, as you'll know from my other videos talking about paranormal beings, we are an energetic food source for these beings. Nothing more, nothing less. They're not here to harm us. They're here to feed off the negative emotional imprints that we create every single day. Now, you create one negative emotion, you're not going to have an issue with them. If you have a build-up, or you're constantly creating the same negative emotion all the time, these emotions put out a vibration which attracts these beings into our personal space. Now, some of them are quite shifty, and they know that if they get too close, if they get in your energy field, in your chakras, meridian lines, or your physical body, they are easily detected by someone like myself. When they're corded, they can be a little bit trickier to detect and to find. So I'm finding now that the more and more of this work that I do, these beings are using cording more so than getting in people's personal space, because they can stay safely at a distance in another dimension possibly, and they're still feeding off what we are creating every day, our negative emotional build-up. So before I do any energy work with my clients, I always send them to see their doctor and their mental health practitioner first. If they get a clean bill of health, possibly it's an energetic cause. So what are some of the signs and symptoms that you have a paranormal energy cord attached to you? Now, paranormal beings are amongst us continuously. They're roaming the earth. They're just looking for another food source. So negative interactions, negative mental states as well. If you have a mental health condition that leaves you feeling quite depressed and down all the time, sometimes you can attract these paranormal beings. Now, I'm not saying this to make people paranoid or fearful, because remember, they do not harm you. It's not what you see in the movies. That's fear. That's horror. Different to paranormal. Totally different. So some of the things you might experience are sudden blinding headaches, migraines. If you're not a migraine person and suddenly you get a migraine that literally puts you in bed and the doctor can't find anything wrong with you and they're like, don't know. It can possibly be a psychic cord connecting you to a paranormal being that is feeding off either your brow chakra or your crown chakra, or it's connected to your physical body, and it's actually pumping negative energy into your mind so that you then create more negative emotions, and then it feeds off. It becomes a bit of a vicious cycle. Detrimental dreams. Like seriously, if you start having nightmares, panic attacks in the middle of the night, and it's not part of your normal behaviour to have experienced those in the past, these sudden occurrences are quite often, in my opinion, signs of paranormal presence or courting to paranormal beings. Because remember, they feed from a distance. And your energy field is going to feel different. You're going to feel like there's someone standing in your space. I can't quite pinpoint what that is. Now, you can experience changes in your hearing, in your vision. I've talked about sleep patterns, changes in your eating patterns. These beings love to manipulate people to feed off what they create. Now, there's a whole variety of dark energy beings, which I've described in my new book called The Darkness Around Us. The heavier end of the scale, which are the demonic level beings, they're the ones that generally cord into people's space. They're the ones that I class as the fear feeders. So they're creating negative emotions in your dreams. They're creating fear in your dreams. You wake up exhausted and tired and lethargic and you can't cope. So that is a sign of, in my opinion, paranormal presence, especially the demonic level beings. Now, don't get frightened by the demonic word. I call them the big Ds, because they are just a heavier dark energy. You don't have happen what you see in the movies. Remember, the movies, it's horror. Paranormal's totally different. We are literally an energetic food source for these paranormal beings. And that is why they hang around us, because we create continuous negative emotions. Now, I find personally that paranormal beings, whether they're corded or not corded, will pick on you for your most vulnerable aspect of yourself. So if you're mentally vulnerable, that's what they're going to attach to. Emotionally, that's what they attach to. For me personally, it's a physical issue. I know when I've got something corded into my energy field because my walking changes. That is where my physical weakness is. That is where I am most vulnerable, is with my walking or with my hands. So these beings will affect me in that way. Another thing that you may notice is that you feel, if you're energetically sensitive and you know when your energy changes, is that you might feel a tapping. I quite often will feel this tapping, and it's not just necessarily on my head. It can be at the back of the head. It can be on my ankle. It can be anywhere around this energy field that is around your body, basically. So I only realized recently that this tapping was something cording into my energy field. Because as soon as it happened, I went, that's not me. That's not normal. So this is what you do when you're dealing with paranormal beings, is you know your behaviors, your sleep patterns, your eating patterns. When something changes, see your doctor. If your doctor can't fix it, it might be a paranormal cause. And I go, okay, what's different? I've got this tapping happening on my leg all the time. What is that tapping? And when that tapping started, I started to feel extra tired and drained. And I'm like, okay, get the dowsing out. So I use a pendulum for my dowsing. It just gives me quicker answers. Rods take too long for me, and I literally just do not have the patience. So I will use my pendulum and I will tune in and ask, do I have a paranormal being corded to my energy field? And I'll wait for my response. And if I get a yes, I go, okay, is it a dark energy? No. Is it a demonic level being? Yes. Okay. So then you ask how many beings are present, whether it's 1, 2, 3, or 4, however many. Because this one sense of tapping doesn't necessarily mean you have one cord attached to you. Remember, these are sneaky buggers. I've experienced one tapping on the side of my head, and there's been 3 cords in that very close location. So it's all about the specific wording when you are clearing these beings. This is why I refer people to people like myself. I say you really need to see an energy clearer, someone who does Reiki, does some sort of energy healing, does some sort of paranormal clearing, because we know how to do the detective work. I've spent a lot of time doing this for clients, for myself more so, for a long period. So I know their tricks and their tactics and what they get up to, cheeky little buggers. So you ask the specific question, is there a cord attached to my energy field? Is it dark or demonic? How many? And then you need to ask, can it simply be cleared by contacting Archangel Michael? If not, you need to do more detective work to work out whether they have attached some sort of hex, curse, spell. Sometimes they use booby traps on these cords. They're just so funny. Like, seriously, I'm laughing because I deal with this all the time. And I'm like, really, guys? You think I'm not going to find that? Sometimes they will use what I call psychic hooks to keep these cords attached. Now, when they cotton on to people like me that go, yeah, I know what you're doing. They go, okay, how else can we keep these cords attached? Because you've got to remember, these are a living energy. You just can't see them. They are intelligent. They are extremely smart and they know how to stay attached to us. So now when I check through my dowsing is that I will ask the basic questions and then I'll say, are there any hooks, ties or tentacles attached to the cord? Because this is like extra protection. So Anna comes along, okay, I'm going to clear that cord, call in Archangel Michael, cord's gone, I still don't feel better. And I'm like, okay, did I check for cords, hooks, ties, tentacles? No. So then you will ask the question, are there any hooks, ties or tentacles holding the psychic cords in place? And then if you get your yes, then you have to ask how many. Like, this is why I send people to people like myself. I'm going to go, it's too hard to do it yourself because you've got to be really specific with the wording. I've mucked up my wording for myself so many times and wondered why. I've had something corded to me all day. And it's taken me like 4 hours of clearing this thing on and off. But I've learnt from it. I have seriously learnt so much. That's why I wrote my book called The Darkness Around Us, to share information about these beings, signs and symptoms, how they attach to people and where they go, how you can remove them. So how can you remove energy cords? Is I call in Archangel Michael. I have done the dowsing and I will include in my very specific wording of my request, I will say, I give permission for Archangel Michael to please be present now. If you could please disconnect the 2 psychic cords that are attached to my energy field, please. It's as simple as that. When you ask for higher vibrational help, you are using clear intention, focus, they will come and do the work. If the cord doesn't disconnect, then you need to go, okay, did I check for the hooks, ties and tentacles, the things to keep it attached? If it's not that, if there's none of those there can be what I mentioned earlier, which is the spells, hexes and curses. They're just so tricky, these beings, to work with. So I just suggest that people have a go at disconnecting these energy cords, calling on Archangel Michael. Use your dowsing. Really important that you understand how to use a pendulum or your dowsing rods, what your yes and no confirmation signs are. So important to understand and to be doing some dowsing regularly. I'll put some links up above about different dowsing techniques, a whole playlist that I've created about dowsing. So apart from calling in the archangels is also to maintain your awareness about your energy field and how it changes. Take note of when the changes are, when they occurred, what might have caused it. Because sometimes we have particular triggers that attract these beings and particularly attract the demonic level beings that connect with the cord. So it's really important to be aware and just maintain your awareness. If it won't cut, if the cord won't cut and you find that you still just don't feel right, you just can't put your finger on it, but you just don't feel right, contact an energy clearing specialist. Okay, so really important that you do that, because you're going to find that these beings will not disconnect. They will just stay connected. I've cleared energy cords from people that have had cording for decades. And then all of a sudden, they feel really different because the beings are gone, the cording is gone. Their body and their energy field can now reset to a... Now, there's another reason why you might need to connect to an energy clearing specialist. Sometimes these beings don't just cord into your energy field. If there's a tear in your energy field, they will slip that cord in further because they're looking for a food source. So say this being gravitates towards paranoia, and you've got paranoia hanging out in your liver or in one of your meridian lines or in your heart chakra. They are going to cord straight through your energy field and go into chakras, meridian lines, as well as the physical body and the energy field. This is why I suggest to people, if you don't want to do this yourself, just see an energy clearer. All right, and then they will be able to tell you when they connected, what sort of connection it was, what the emotions were that they were connected to, or the trauma. Sometimes they connect to trauma as well. And you can be aware of not creating those particular emotions again. Keeping these beings away is all about awareness and not being frightened of them. Remember, they're not here to harm us. They're here to feed off our energy. It's been lovely talking with you. I hope to see you again soon. I upload dark energy videos every second week, spiritual videos every other week. So stay safe, look after each other, and be aware of that energy cording.